Hello, welcome to our podcast, Shots.
Movie reviews by filmmakers.
I'm Max.
I'm Chan. And in this episode, we're going to be doing a throwback to Danny Boyle's 2010 127 Hours.
Yeah. Speaking of the throwback, there's that new study that came out about people who, now that music is available for everything, this is for a conversation for another time, but we're finding out all the statistics say people listen to older music. And I'm curious what the statistics for films are going to be, because now that films are available everywhere at all times, every film ever, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm going to watch
everything.
A really good movie from 1970 as opposed to a shitty movie from 2020.
Yeah. I also feel like this might just be a personal thing. I watch way more movies than TV shows. Like, I'd rather
That's a you and me thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand these human beings who come up to you and talk to you and they're like, oh, well, I've watched X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, that's 300 hours worth of television.
Yeah.
Where did you get the time to do that?
Yeah. There are so many people that are like, you should watch Dope Sick. You should watch Breaking Bad. I don't watch. When we did our Yellow Jackets review, that is maybe one show out of, besides Squid Games, I've watched.
Yeah.
And I've watched 40 movies compared to that. I would much rather watch a 2-hour movie 10 times in a row than watch one season of a show.
This is an us thing, though. Because everyone's like, oh, do a limited series or do it. And I'm just like, why not just do it tight? Anyway, here we are.
We're old school.
We're old school. I like it good. We're doing 127 Hours.
Yes. Written and directed by Danny Boyle.
Based on the book, Stuck Between a Rock and a Hard Place.
I think so, yeah. It's a biography and drama.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and get that out of the way.
Sure. Based on true events.
I feel like everyone has seen it.
Yep.
But it's been probably 12 years since I've seen it, because I watched it when it first came out. 6 Oscar nominations, no wins.
Which is shocking.
Hundreds of nominations overall for film festivals.
Yeah, because he's Danny Boyle.
Danny Boyle. I forgot how good it was.
I forget how good most Danny Boyle movies are, other than, Gatsby, let's say.
What is
I didn't love it.
Yeah. So the movie follows Aron Ralston. We all know the story. He's a avid hiker.
Outdoorsy guy.
Outdoorsy.
Kind of a loner.
A Max Frew type.
Hello.
Gets his arm stuck.
Gets his arm stuck in a boulder. He doesn't have a sharp knife of any sort. He has, a Chinese mystery metal multi-tool. And he has to cut his arm off to survive.
It's shot in Utah. It happened in Moab, Utah.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
That's incorrect.
It happened in California. Sorry about that. He lived in L.A. Sorry.
She was looking at me.
My brain. The interesting thing is, this story, it is a true story. You see the beginning of, him forgetting his Swiss Army knife, him just going out for an average hike.
Something he probably does all the time.
All the time. And it's such a, it just went wrong. Everything went wrong.
It just went wrong.
And it's the sad thing is obviously this happened in real life, is when I was watching it, I know you, I know my brothers, I know people who go out by themselves and hike, and watching that is just such a refresher of hey, can you just send me your location and tell me where you're going?
Be responsible. I will say, apart from filmmaking, let's just talk about, this goes into the Yellow Jackets category of, if, as she says, we all do some dumb things sometimes. If that's me, how do you react? And that fuels so much of this story in terms of, it's probably an undertaking to get a movie where you know you're going to be stuck in one place the whole time. That's tough for a movie. There's a different movie called Buried, I think, with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a classic example of, holy shit, the director has a lot to say about how a story's told. It's just a completely different vibe. And
it is difficult to do that. It's cheap. If you can do it right, it's so cheap.
But it's hard to do it.
Because
difficult to do it right.
The two only actors, beside, there are a few small character actors, but it just has Amber Tamblyn and Kate Mara. Those are the only two main actors besides James
Franco.
And James carried the movie well. And the funny thing is your little honey pot who watched it with us, I don't think she'd ever seen it. She was saying how that gave her so much anxiety. The movie was like such an anxiety-ridden.
The sound mixing.
Thing. Yeah.
That's one of the best uses of sound ever in a movie.
Which is, it goes back to that. Like,
that's why movies are difficult, man. There's so many things that can go wrong, but he does everything right. Like, I think this is one of the only movies I cried in. I think I watched it in 2012 by myself, and when he finally gets out and finds people, I was like, oh, he made it.
It's like, it felt like The Rescue, that documentary we watched.
Yeah.
Where Danny Boyle does such a good job of putting the audience in that situation where you're going through it with him.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're thinking, like, yes, you have to do that or you're going to die. You have to do that. But you're also like, could I do that?
Dude, he has to break his arm first because he can't cut through bone. So, like, that's step one. Granted, his arm's all messed up, so I don't want to bring him down a notch, but, like, it probably -1 decimal pain.
His arm is dead.
His arm's dead, but you have to break bone, and then you have to cut through, and you got, I think, 2 nerves. Dr. Galen can get back to us. I think there's 2 nerves you have to cut through, and apparently cutting through a nerve is fucked up pain. Like,
and it's, because he had to pull the...
And that's when the sound hole, where you're just like, oh my God.
And he's got blood on his face because he has one arm, so he has to put the knife back in his mouth to, like...
And he's dehydrated as all get out.
It makes me think of, like, this goes back to farm life for me, but when mice used to get trapped in the mouse traps.
Yes.
And they would chew their own, like, arm or tail off. If you didn't kill them and they were just stuck, they would panic and they would usually chew their arm off and get away. And it's, like, such an animalistic instinct of, like, seeing a human revert back to, like, this is flight or fight. Like, I can die and give up, or I can churn the butter and get out. Like,
sure.
You know, that's a throwback to Catch Me If You Can. I think you got.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think, truthfully, I would do the same thing. But I think it would take so much adrenaline, which I would probably have in that moment, and the will. It's difficult.
Yeah, you have to get to that acceptance point where you think you're gonna die, because there also is literally the worst case scenario, other than cutting off your arm, is you cut off your arm and then a second later somebody shows up for the first time in 3 days, and you're like, what if I do that? And it was all for nothing. That doesn't happen.
I mean, he's still losing his arm regardless. Yeah. Like, that's the thing
his arm, true.
That's the only thing I could think of. It's like, I think the hardest part of that for me would have been the visual. Watching. I don't even think it would be pain. I think me having to watch myself cut my arm off would fuck me up. That's what I think is hard. So this is just a side story. When I was in 3rd grade, I was running outside on the farm with my older brother, and I fell and split my knee open, like fully split it open. I could see my bone.
Oh my God!
And Noah, so I didn't realize, because I have a high pain tolerance, whatever, and I had adrenaline. I didn't realize that you could see my bone, and my older brother saw it, and like immediately was like, "Hey, we need to go see Mom. Like, we need to go find Mom."
Good older brother.
And my mom and she saw my bone and was like, shit, you gotta go to the fucking hospital. But it wasn't until I was in the room of the hospital and they were physically sewing my leg up that it hit me what had happened.
Right.
So that's why I think in that moment you're like, yeah.
Cut it off. Yeah, I do.
It's gone.
Now, that's all the psychological. What else about just like perfect movie telling? I know we're on a hot streak for good movies. It's about time, even though this one's from 2008.
I love the beginning of seeing his personality of just like him taking the 2 girls to the swimming hole.
Yeah.
And he's kind of nerdy, but he's in his element. Like, they do a good way of painting Aron, James Franco and Danny do, of like, he is God in the hiking trail world.
Sure.
Like, that is his element. So for it to happen to someone like that is wild.
Yeah. And they also do a good job of, like, yeah, he's also kind of an asshole in real life and, like, won't respond to his mom's calls.
Yeah.
Always respond to your mom's calls.
Classic free solo.
Yes. Not free solo.
Because the documentary.
Yeah.
Where
Does he not respond to his mom?
Yeah, with his girlfriend, you know?
Ah.
Outdoors people, man.
Outdoors people, they're a little weird. They can't hack it in a city is what it's all about. But, all right, we did sound mixing, was perfect. Visual storytelling was perfect.
Flashbacks.
Hallucinations, great hallucinations. Just showing the struggles of, like, your foot only gets sun for 10 minutes a day or something like that at the start. And that's the only sun you're getting. So you're also just cold as all hell.
Dropping his water.
Oh, my God. Watching him, an inexperienced person would literally be dead. He rigs this whole thing where he can comfortably. It was awesome.
It's a once in a lifetime situation. Like, it would never. No one would.
Yeah.
It's
a human spirit.
Yeah,
it's an achievement.
I would suggest rewatching. Like, it's good.
Yeah, if you watched it when it came out, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. Go watch any Danny Boyle movie, except for Great Gatsby. Right? Did that suck or am I crazy? Anyway, that was Baz Luhrmann.
That wasn't Danny Boyle. That was Baz. Get out of here.
Whoopsie.
Embarrassing. Yeah, go watch it. I would give it. Yeah, what would you give it?
Dude. Probably 8.5.
Interesting.
I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with it.
I was going to say I would probably give it a 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9.
So
a 9.
We'll end on a 9.5.
9.5. You can watch it with a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ding.
A lot of anxiety.
Totally. If you've got PTSD friends, don't watch it with them. They'll start having panic attacks.
Starts a philosophical, like, what would I do?
What would I do?
Discussion.
How badly have I lived my life that I've wound up in this situation and no one knows where you are? That's the best scene in the movie is when he's talking to the camera and it's like half edited like a game show or like a talk show. That's just, that's where he really goes off the deep end in terms of,
you're crazy.
You're dumb. You didn't tell anybody you're here. You fucked up.
Yeah.
You did, Aaron.
Classic Aaron.
10, I guess 9.5.
9.5. Go watch 127 Hours on Amazon Prime. I think it's
sure.
Yeah. This has been another episode of Shots. Thank you for the support. We love you.
Bye.